Are you trying to establish your brand as a thought leader? Start a podcast, invite industry experts to be guests on your show, and watch your brand become the prime resource for decision makers in your industry. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. Today we are joined by Jessica Wesley. Jessica is the marketing director for MavenWave. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited that we got a chance to connect today. We almost got a chance to, I think, do a live interview in Chicago, but it didn't quite. Our schedules didn't quite mesh up. So I appreciate you carving some time out of your schedule to join us virtually. And today we've got a really cool topic. We're going to be talking about how you know it's time to rebrand your company. But before we get into today's topic, maybe you can tell our audience a little about what you and the MavenWave team are up to these days.
Awesome. I'm Jessica Wesley. I am the marketing director here at MavenWave. MavenWave is a digital transformation firm based out of Chicago, but we're kind of all over North America. And what we do is really help companies to evolve and transform to succeed in this new digital age. So we provide consulting services and solutions that help to assist companies in their move to the cloud. And we're a Google Cloud Premier partner, so we really specialize in Google's technology, and our capabilities span all stages of cloud transformation. So that could be anything from your actual cloud infrastructure to enterprise collaboration and all the way to data analytics and insights.
Yeah. So, I mean, you are a transformation expert, which I think speaks obviously to your expertise in today's topic, how you know it's time to rebrand your company. So I'm going to kind of let you take it from there.
Yeah, so I can tell our story, but also weave in kind of how that how it might apply to other companies as well. But our company was founded back in 2008, and they really founded the company on the idea that business change requires a unique blend of problem-solving skills. And this specific service offering has evolved as technology has evolved. We really focused on traditional management consulting type services in the beginning, but that founding principle has continued throughout the years. So I came on board about 4 years ago, and it took about a year for me to convince them that we needed to actually rebrand. So I'm not gonna lie and say it was this awesome, simple, streamlined process. It definitely took some time and some convincing, but I think there's a couple of key triggers that really, made them realize it's really time. And the first is growth. Really, any company that's starting to experience rapid growth, and whether that's in revenue or employee size or any number of things, as you grow and scale, your brand has to scale with you. And then the second would be new capabilities. So for us specifically, at the time when I convinced them it was time to rebrand, the cloud was really exploding and becoming, a real thing and something that companies needed to seriously consider. And so that was one of the main reasons why we decided to rebrand when we did is, we were becoming a cloud company. That was becoming the number one driver of revenue for us. And so our brand needed to reflect that. Mm-hmm. And then the third is just if the brand no longer reflects your level of expertise. We were starting to work with Fortune 500 companies in the enterprise space, and our original brand, it didn't reflect that level of expertise, that level of capability. And so we had to kind of rethink the way that we portrayed ourselves to our customers, to our prospects, and let them feel comfortable working with us. We're a smaller company, and so we wanted them to feel like we could really compete with those big name consulting firms. And so that required a new look, a new brand, and really a new way of talking about ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, some of these things that you're mentioning, the size of the company, definitely some changes in technology and expertise, these things seem like they can creep up on you. They can grow gradually. Is there a difference between sort of evolving slowly, or versus having to make a major brand shift? Would you say that there's a time and place for one or the other?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're making a wholesale change in who you are as a company, then I think that has to, it has to happen much more quickly. For us, it was much more gradual. We were kind of following the trends, technology trends, and seeing where things were headed. And for us, when you're in the enterprise space, to be honest, they don't change super quick. It takes a long time for a large company to decide they want to switch out their technology, they want to move to the cloud. So for us, we had a little bit of time to kind of evolve slowly to match the capabilities that we were starting to sell and starting to put out into the market. And so I think it really just depends on the type of company, who you're selling to. That really helps to drive how quickly you need to make the change. But I always think you want to do it faster than slower, given you have the resources, of course.
Yeah, well, and as you mentioned, it can be a significant undertaking. So, when you're making that decision to rebrand, it is not a small decision. Right.
And it depends if you have a team in-house dedicated to it. Do you have an agency? Do you have spend? So there's so many different factors, and every company is different.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk about then, if we're starting to get an idea of, okay, it may be time to rebrand, the telltale signs are there. What are some of the factors then that actually go into changing and evolving your brand and making some, investing in, infrastructure, marketing, even things as like down to your logo, what sort of factors are there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different factors, but I do think the most important step comes from getting executive leadership buy-in. And in the case of our company, the founders of the company here, they created the logo from, when they started the company, just the three of them. And so they had to be completely on board, because obviously they're incredibly invested in everything the company decides to do. But I think in the case of any company, no matter how large you are or how invested leadership is in the actual brand decisions, they have to be on board with it. Otherwise, I think there's a lot of roadblocks that come up, whether it's investing the time, investing the money, or the resources. I think you have to have that buy-in from the top down to really have a successful initiative.
Yeah.
And luckily, I was able to gain that buy-in, like I said, about a year into working here. And after that, there's so many different factors that go into it, and you have to decide where are you going to start? How far is this rebrand going? For us, it went all the way back to redoing the logo. So we really started from square one. Brand new logo. We kept a couple different things, like one of our main brand colors, which is orange. We kept that because we wanted to maintain some level of consistency, but because we were redoing the logo, we really redid everything. So you have to think about, how far are you going to go with the rebrand? Does it start all the way back to the logo, or maybe it's just a quick refresh of the website and then corresponding marketing materials that want to reflect a new look and feel. So it really, really varies, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so I guess my next question is kind of about, you're rebranding. So obviously for new customers or for new clients or for new accounts, this is going to be their first time sort of seeing the new you. So they wouldn't necessarily know like the previous incarnation, but is there a transition period where you're almost, I don't know, if you're bringing your current clients up to speed, are you letting them know, hey, it's the same great service or the same great product, with just a different look and feel? Do you kind of bring them along with you on that journey? And how involved is that?
That's a really interesting question, and I think I could see that would be much more challenging. How do we rebrand where we are today versus where we were when we actually did our rebrand? We were much smaller at the time, so it was not nearly as difficult as it would be today. And for us, I think that keeping some level of consistency, so we kept the font and we kept the orange color, and we carried that throughout. I think those couple of elements helped us a little bit. I think if we had scrapped completely everything. I think a little bit more of an explanation would have been needed. But I think if you're just communicating with the customers that do know you and do know your old brand, communicating why you're making the change, if there's a reason behind it, and they understand that we're trying to grow and reflect these new capabilities, and that we have all these new services, and we're working at a much higher level than ever before. I think that makes a lot of sense, and they respect you for wanting to make those changes, and they feel more comfortable working with a brand that they trust. So I think that level of trust is really important, and the level of communication and involvement of your customers varies quite a bit. But I think as long as you do a proper PR launch, then I don't think it's a huge deal, at least for a company like our size.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think my final question would be, especially for our listeners, someone who is out there listening to this episode and they're thinking to themselves, that may kind of describe our company. We've grown, our focus has shifted. The offering is slightly different. Our expertise has evolved. That might be us. What would be then a couple of pieces of advice for the next best steps you could give that type of person?
Yeah, I think the best thing you can do is get leadership buy-in, make sure they're comfortable, figure out who the core team is going to be, because there's going to be a lot of opinions, especially in a smaller company where people are more invested. There may be, a lot of different opinions. You need to also just determine who are going to be your key stakeholders in the project and who's going to make the final decisions, because this could go on forever. I remember when we were doing the actual logo portion, we had hundreds of options. I mean, it could have gone on for years trying to make a logo that everyone was happy with. And so, you really need to streamline the process and determine who are your key stakeholders, who's going to be the final decision makers. Because like I said, otherwise the project can just go on forever and ever. So having those key decision makers, I think, are really, really crucial. And then deciding how you're going to actually execute. Are you going to be able to do that in-house? Do you have a team in place that will be able to help you apply that new brand across all of your materials? Or do you need to go outside? So just laying those key pieces of groundwork and determining your main stakeholders, I think will help to drive a really successful rebrand project.
Yep, it makes a lot of sense. And Jessica, I think this has been some tremendous content. I think our audience is definitely going to get a lot out of it. And I know that there's, it can be a very involved process. We're able to sort of scratch the surface here. So if anyone listening is interested in following up about today's episode, or even finding out more about what you and the MavenWave team are up to, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Sure. You can check out our website at MavenWave.com, or you can, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to answer any further questions.
Perfect. Jessica, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
To ensure that you never miss an episode of the B2B Growth Show, subscribe to the show on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. This guarantees that every episode will get delivered directly to your device.
If you or someone you know would be an incredible guest for the B2B Growth Show, email me at jonathan@sweetfishmedia.com and let us know. We love connecting with B2B executives, and we love sharing their wisdom and perspective with our audience.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.